Why? There he goes. All right. Hey, you've got Adam from the Outlier show, and I have another great guest. I've brought the Godfather himself, Sean Green from the Sports Betting Podcast Network. Sean, thanks for coming by, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, let's talk some bets. I feel like I'm probably gonna end up texting everything I like. I mean, that's Adam being on the East Coast, me being on the West Coast. Like literally, open up the phone and there's like, oh, what about this? What about that? And then like 5 other props. It really is like one of the first things I wake up to. Or my buddies bitching about the Eagles and Sirianni. So those are like my 2 things I wake up to.
Yeah, it's, and I used to live on the West Coast, and my friends on the East Coast would be like, I would wake up to my friends on the East Coast, everybody complaining about everything they heard on WIP that morning.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, back on the East Coast. All my West Coast friends wake up to like, I got like 60 texts from Berg about like Jalen Hurts and whatever. But dude, you know what? It works, and we've only got 3 games left. So we got to make them count. Like today I was looking at stuff and I was like, oh, do I want to only go like half on this? I'm like, what the hell am I talking about?
Yeah,
like,
there's only so many games left.
There's only a little bit left. All right, so let's let me make sure I can get this up. But like, let's go. I want to go right into it and get us looking at the board. We're going to Baltimore. We got the AFC Championship. I didn't realize that. For some reason, I totally thought these were on separate days. I don't know why I thought that, but everything's on Sunday. Chiefs and Ravens. I mean, what are you thinking? What like is there a side that you even liked on this? Were you on the Chiefs or were you on the Ravens early? Like kind of, and if you are somebody who has no stake in this whatsoever, what would you tell them right now from a side and total perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I just can't get away from the Kansas City Chiefs and getting 4 points with Patrick Mahomes, getting Andy Reid. I know as Eagles fans, he disappointed us so many times in the playoffs, but for the Chiefs, he's been awesome. I love the head-to-head stuff of the Chiefs against the Ravens. Mahomes 3-1. He's looked very good against the Ravens defense at times. I understand the case for the Ravens, but I would say this is one of the best defenses Patrick Mahomes has had. They held the Buffalo Bills, no plays over 20 yards. You can really limit the explosives. And I think Spags, who did a really good job calling the game against the Bills, I think he's going to sit back in zone, not play man, because that leaves you open to Lamar Jackson running all over the place. Because I think I'm not really that scared of the Ravens pass catchers for the Chiefs defense. And I think they're going to be able to keep this a close game. So Chiefs +4 feels really good to me.
Yeah, it's it's hard for me to get away from the fact that we've seen it's so narrative, but we've seen this story before. Like we both know exactly what's going to happen. We absolutely know that it's going to be Ravens up by 5, by like a dead number with Patrick Mahomes having still 1:15 left.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the game, are you going to be upset that you had money on Patrick Mahomes getting points as a dog in a playoff game? I'm not. If it goes to 9-2-1, all right, fine. And then I'm just going to keep betting on Patrick Mahomes as a dog until it gets closer to 50%. Then maybe I'll start evaluating. But to me, Mahomes as a dog is still like an auto play. And this Chiefs team, it's weird. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, I mean, how does the NFL not put the Chiefs in this Super Bowl? Like, what are we talking about? This is the NFL. I'm sure everyone's seen the ref stats that the Sean Smith that they're putting at home.
Oh, I haven't. I actually hadn't I hadn't looked at the ref stats yet. Is it?
Okay, yeah. The ref they assigned is like one of the worst refs for home teams, like of all time. Straight up NATS. I mean, worst case scenario for the Chiefs is that Taylor Swift ends up at the Super Bowl. Like they're doing everything they can to stop this. What are we talking about? This is the NFL. And it's Patrick Mahomes. The offense got going a little bit. I think Pacheco might be able to get his. I just like Andy Reid versus Harbaugh as well. Like I think the big matchups really favor the Chiefs, and I'm not scared of Lamar Jackson in the playoffs until I see it, right? And I get it. This is the MVP year, but I'm still hesitant. So Chiefs +4 feels great.
Yeah, I mean, it's now that it's at 4, it's kind of a different ball game for me. I do like the Chiefs in that situation. I'm sure that there's somebody who's got the nice conspiracy record of like Andy Reid versus assistants and guys that he worked for. It's funny because all the things he never did for the Eagles, he just like suddenly decided,
Yes,
oh, I'm going to do, look at this. I'm going to run the ball. I'm going to do all this stuff.
assets.
Yeah, it's just, and the big thing that I can't get away from as well is just that this Chiefs defense is Spags got the best defense right now running for the Chiefs. So it's that I lead to it. I actually think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I'm still the auto bet of Patrick Mahomes as a dog is going up against the Ravens first half spread, which is also the auto at home. So it's sort of one of those things where I'm looking at some of the pricing on like Ravens first half, Chiefs like second, like all that for the full time, like some of those things I'm playing around with. But what I want to also talk about, like what kind of, I don't know if you guys have even done your recording of this yet as of press, but have you guys looked at, is there a prop that you have looked at that has been jumping out to you for this game?
Yeah, so we're right after this, we are going to be recording the prop show.
Nice.
I would say the more interesting stuff to me is in the late game. There is a couple bets I like in this early game. One, it starts with Patrick Mahomes rushing yards. I mean, it's set at 27.5. I think he hits this over. We've seen him in playoff games. I think it's going to be like the Dolphins game where he had 41 rushing yards, where he realizes, hey, back against the wall, playing up against this pretty good defense with the Ravens. And he didn't get it last week. So I think that's going to throw some people off of his rushing yards. But generally in the playoffs, he's a willing runner. Just imagine a couple 3rd and 10s. He drops back. He scrambles. He's also like very aware that people don't want to hit him because they're afraid to get a roughing the passer. So he's like very good at kind of staying up and sliding late or getting those couple extra yards. I like him to the over 27.5 rushing yards. Feels like a pretty good number for him.
Yeah, he's look, we also saw it against the Packers game when I think you and I were both on that rushing when he had like 9 even going into the final drive. And that's the thing is that he could pick up
one 2-minute drill, 1 2-minute drive. That's all you need because in gotta have it spots, he's not afraid to run. And I think they're gonna, they have Hamilton. So I don't like the Kelsey stuff because I do think they're gonna put Hamilton on him or do whatever they can to bracket him. I think Rice, Justin Watson, maybe some of the other guys are interesting, but I still think the rushing yards for Mahomes is kind of my favorite angle.
I'm going to the one of the ones that the one I'd gone to is on the Ravens side, it's not as sexy, but I like Gus Edwards no catches in this game just based on because Dalvin Cook is now they're giving Dalvin Cook snaps. Gus Edwards has really never been the pass catching back. Like they like to give him to Justice Hill. It's plus 170 for him to not have a catch. And he had 8 games this year where he wasn't targeted, but I'd given that out. But I started messing around and I'm like, if this is like a vintage Chiefs game, like, and they don't really have tons of weapons, who better to go to than a reborn MVS who had a great game last week? 2 catches is plus 138. And I know this is, yeah, well, I mean, I don't need him even, let me say, like, probably, wow, yeah, if he has 3 catches, it's plus 370. 4 catches is 8 to 1. So let's CJ know. But it's like for me, I started looking at when they use him. They actually use him in the big moments when they've needed him. He didn't have, I mean, obviously the Eagles won that game, but like he was the guy they targeted for that big catch. If something happens where the Ravens are kind of trying to slow things up, and even if the Ravens jump ahead, like obviously, like I could see the Ravens game planning around a Kelsey or game planning around a Rice, but leaving MVS open. And like, there's how many times have you looked at him like an MVS bomb over the last couple years and been like, yeah, Patrick Mahomes is the MVP because he makes that guy look incredible. It's well, just one of those things.
He did have a deep catch against the Bills. So you're right. That's kind of a fun angle for sure. I also, as far as under stuff, you can get, I think it's like plus 135 under 1.5 catches for Odell Beckham, who they seemingly are kind of working out of the game plan. If you looked at his last, I think 4 games, he's only had 5 total catches, 3 games with 1 catch, 1 game with 2. I mean, he ran 8 routes last game. I don't know if it's a health thing or whatever, but you throw that in with the fact that Mark Andrews is most likely back. I just don't see how he gets the targets to even get 2 catches. So he's been pretty cold.
Yeah, it's another reason why I liked Gus Edwards is because like Lamar doesn't do checkdowns to running backs,
Yes.
and like this is another like they've always wanted to run Andrews and Lively at the same time. So Gus Edwards is just odd man out for catching any ball in any situation there. So and like it's weird. I actually would like I'd like OBJ rushing more than I would even like any of his receiving because I'd see them
They
like
try and figure out a way to get him involved.
yeah, and like his rush receive is one more yard higher. And like one thing that you've said that I think is like a great thing for people to know. Do you ever see a guy listed with a rush receiving and they also like they're gonna try to at least do one? That means it's a guy they're trying to do one play for. So maybe if you want to do anything, I don't know, like what's his touchdown? His touchdown's plus 450. So like if you're gonna
go positive, go big, yeah.
Go big. So yeah, but I agree with you on that. And you know, and I probably we could do it when we try to build like a little bit of a bomb. There's I still do like Lamar rushing. I just do still think that he's going to be able to kind of get through. He had he had 100 last week. He had big ones like 2 years ago. He still gets his on the ground against the Chiefs. But yeah, like for me, I'm just going to the old well and just going to MVS. All right. So our favorite team, the 49ers. I can't wait till there's, this weekend, there's going to be someone who just said, oh, the 49ers were here last year and the what ifs that could have happened if he hadn't broken his arm because because they sent a fullback to do blocking against a top pass rush defense. I don't really care. Oh, what are you thinking already for this game?
Yeah, I'm on the Lions and the points. I mean, partially because I hate this 49ers team, but another reason though, Brock Purdy at home these past couple games, he's been sub 60% completion percentage in both games. He throws a lot of interceptable passes, right? The Ravens converted on a bunch of them. That's why they got 4 interceptions. The Packers, they convert on one of those. I think they win the game outright. And this Lions team they have been converting on turnover opportunities. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. And it's easy to build a narrative against Jared Goff. I've done it a million times, but outdoors, he's actually been okay in San Francisco. He's from the Bay Area.
He's from there. He's from Nevada.
Yeah, he's a Bay Area kid. You're looking at the fans that are going to be at the stadium. They're talking about like 25% Lions fans. This is the Lions' time. Restore the roar. I think Hutch gets one play on Purdy. I mean, Purdy did not look comfortable in that pocket. I understand he had that drive there at the end of the game, but man, he did not seem comfortable. And on the other side, like I love the Montgomery prop stuff. I think he could get going because you saw like you bring some physicality in the running game like Aaron Jones did. You can break off one big run, and the Lions have the patience to stick with the running game. Even if you're getting like 2-3 yards, nothing's happening. They'll still keep giving Montgomery his carries. And he also ran a route on 50% of the dropbacks. Like he was involved in the passing game as well. I think this is kind of a Montgomery game, and they signed Zach Ertz. So I'm not fading Zach Ertz in an NFC championship game. Let's go, baby.
Is that even legal to do? Like to just sign a play? Like, I mean,
we were having the conversation with CJ. He's like, when is the cutoff? The first half of the Super Bowl? It is kind of crazy that they signed him. He looks okay. And I think they're signing him because they'll probably play him. I mean, we'll see if he's active on the 53. If he is, I like him to get a catch. I mean, his over a half catch, I think, is like plus 145.
You got it.
And I looked up his he is actually second on the Arizona Cardinals in red zone targets for the season, even though he only played 7 games. Hollywood Brown had 9, Trey McBride had 8, Zach Ertz had 8. Like he is a red zone guy. You're not signing him to block. The Lions want a second pass catcher in their 12 personnel, and they don't trust Anthony Firkser to do it. So I think Ertz is going to get snaps, and maybe a catch, maybe a touchdown. But if he does play, I think, some of those small stuff for Ertz is fun.
Yeah. Look, they're not going to sign him to not play him. The takeaway I have from that is that Sam Laporte is not in good shape. So, and he was limited in practice.
Well, that's the other thing too. Yeah. Laporte is a little banged up. Brock Wright, I'm almost 100% is out.
He had a massive catch though last week.
He did.
You've been pushing him for 2 years, and he had a massive catch in that game.
29 yard catch. So even if he is just kind of filling in for the Brock Wright role, they always are good for 1 or 2 catches to Brock Wright. So even if it's that, and if Laporta is a little banged up like he seems to be, then it's even more work and looks here for Zach Ertz.
Like I want to hate this Niners team more than I do.
Yes.
But like my biggest thing that I come back to is that trying to be pragmatic. Hate this team so much, and I hated living in the Bay Area while they were good and then they were bad. But I mean, we saw the worst version of this Niners team all last week for the entire year. We saw the worst version still come out and win.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's just like, yeah, it's not. I hate those like don't non-cover but win things, but it's just that was the worst version of this team. And in my opinion, I've said this all year, but like people argue like, oh, is Brock the MVP? Is CMC the MVP? Dude, Debo to me is the MVP on that team because they scored one less touchdown a game because of him. He's got yak yards. They had to get 4 rushing touchdowns this year. Like I've pivoted all of my thinking towards like Ayuk, and there's stuff that I like on there, but the big cap for me also against this Lions team is, man, they hit hard. It is not outside the realm of possibility that like Brock Purdy gets knocked out of the game again. Like you saw, saw it against Stafford, dude. They were going right after him, and they're going after kneecaps, and they're doing it because they want to. This is this team also has given up 5 straight 500-yard or 300-yard passers. So like for me, the thing that I like is I still like the Brock Purdy yards. I think it's 275, and I still took that, and I took like the 300 just because it's the second worst explosive pass defense to Houston. Like they give up an infinite amount of yards. It's like their average ADOT is like 15. It's a bad passing defense. They're a natural pass funnel. So Brock's going to throw on them, and he's either throwing on them because they're in the lead, or he's throwing on them because that's sort of the game plan. And so it pains me, but Brock Purdy's overpassing is a prop that I'm
well.
shipping.
I mean, you saw what Evans did. You saw what Nakua did. If they get it done, it's going to be, I think, because of some turnovers. Like that's how, again, not to make it too simplistic. Usually you win the turnover battle, you're going to win the game regardless. But I'm with you as far as being nervous somewhat here about their pass defense.
Yeah. So is there props that you've keyed in on that you kind of love in this game?
I mean, let's see. There's one. Let's see. Josh Reynolds race to 20.
Been so good every week.
Yeah, I like Josh Reynolds. I was trying to think of who the Jaden Reed could be against this 49ers defense, and I came up with Josh Reynolds. His race to 20 receiving yards is plus 1,700. You're talking about a guy who averages 15.2 yards per catch, which is actually higher than Jameson Williams, who is a fun deep ball guy. But you look at this 49ers team, they allowed Jaden Reed, 27-yard catch. Romeo Doubs, 38-yard catch. Bo Melton had a 19-yard catch for a touchdown. Shout out to you, Bo. So Josh Reynolds to get 20 the first guy to have 20 receiving yards at 17-1, I think is pretty fun. Or you could just play his longest catch over. But I think him getting a 20-yard catch is pretty doable. I think his over longest catch is like 18.5. So I definitely like that one for sure.
Yeah, it's I'm probably going to go back to I've bet it every single week. But I bet I do an Jameson Williams receptions under 70. I bet it every single week. 1 week it's going to hit. I thought last week was going to be it. I really, really did, but we were close. We got 2 for 52, I think. But Reynolds is at 18. And this is like the thing I always look at is just like, does he get that if his yards is higher? Like I like that race to 20 because they open up and they do that. Like Goff loves them too. Goff's known him through 2 different teams. He's a dependable guy for them. And he's getting he's consistently going to get the target share. He consistently gets, he can line up in the slot. They line him up all over. I like it a lot. Everybody, I think the total on this game was like too high. So I'm kind of like tempering myself on this being much more like the game last week than being like what the Tampa Lions, the game was, where it was just yards and yards and everybody just going crazy and scoring on every drive. But yeah, that's like for me, it's it's looking at Brock, it's looking at Ayuk, longest reception. It's 28.5, but his yardage is set at 80. So like he's not getting one if he's not getting the other, especially it sounds like Debo's not going to play. And I mean, he's at least trending to being non-existent on that, which it might be fun to then sprinkle a little bit on our guys like the Ronnie Bells of the world.
Yeah, Ronnie Bell and Juwan Jennings Juwan Jennings especially, I think is pretty interesting. Because he seems to be the guy that benefits a ton when Debo's out.
Yeah,
he's the guy. They don't. I guess what I'm concerned about with Juwan Jennings is that if Debo plays, he's not 100%, but they still either try and use him or try and have him out there and he eats into Juwan Jennings snaps and stuff, or eats into Ronnie Bell. But if he's officially out, I definitely think it's game on for Juwan Jennings, Ronnie Bell stuff.
Yeah, it's and obviously like I'm not getting any lines and stuff yet for him because they don't know, but I would have to think that if Debo is playing, it feels like and it looks like he has all but a fractured collarbone, but they just don't want to tell us that. Like that's what it all looks like. It's like on my shoulder and all this stuff, and it looks and feels like that. So I could see them not using him within the rushing game, and then then having to use him on outside versus like any sort of yak stuff because like you're just basically going to bust him up if you do that. But yeah, Juwan Jennings has always said it like 1.5 receptions.
Yeah.
And he shows up every single time when this happens. So all right. So what I want to do is I want to try to find what I like to do is I like pick like pass and receiving yards and then like touchdown if I can, and then try to like build essentially an alt bomb with everybody who comes on here.
Yes, let's go.
It's a little bit of nice collab stuff. We do 4 picks. We can do it from both the games. So starting in the Chiefs game, who's somebody that you're kind of liking that you like, we could see it going to the moon. Maybe we could do like we could put Patrick Mahomes alt rushing on here. We could do whatever. I think,
yeah, anything the Mahomes. I think Mahomes, if you can get like over 39.5, I think some of those.
Let's do that. Plus 230 as a first block like on this for his rushing.
Not too crazy.
So then if that happens, so here's the thing. If that all happens, then I kind of want to put like give us a reverse correlation bump and give us an alt under on this.
Yeah. Because I could see.
Let's see. Yes. I'm going to put it at, I'll do the, for now, I'll do it. Like I'll humor people and just do it. Give us a little bit more and it's under 47.5. It doesn't matter. Just the fact that we'll have an under with an over in it is automatically going to just give us that good rub. So like a Patrick Mahomes alt rush over under in the game because the clock's running.
Yeah.
And then, I guess like for the Niners, like I want to go to the attempts on Brock, but like who's is there somebody on the Lions or somebody on the Niners that you want to look at for this? I mean, in perfect world, Jennings, but obviously it's not there.
David Montgomery receiving yards I think is interesting. His maybe even his what's like the first step up on his ladder, like 19.5 receiving yards.
Let's see his they only right now I'm only getting on the receiving yards I have the 5.5. So like his receptions, dude, plus 390 for him to have 3 receptions.
Oh yes. Yes. I love
which just had 3 receptions last week. Yeah, no, yeah. That's the one.
Look at his routes run. I'm not making this up. And 49ers 8th in receiving yards allowed in the league. So they're not amazing at throwing or stopping running backs in the passing game.
I mean, look, if that's all going to happen, this feels like a low receiving number for Christian McCaffrey, to be honest. Like if this is all happening, then let me just see. I just want to see what happens if they pepper CMC, and CMC, let's say CMC got 50. It's a little bit too much. Let me see if trying to see who would they end up using. All right. And Kittle's number is already too high. And AX already too high. I think I'm going to go with Reynolds. And just, they got there through this. let's just do Reynolds to have 40, and which is plus 120. And so, all right, so we got a David Montgomery alt line that is only available on Caesars right now. So, but I will attach this link to all of it because like that this number will be available. But if we do regular, let me just put in Montgomery as his baseline in there because that'll be there. But that's actually a standalone prop that's absolutely worth taking. All right, so we have that. So I mean, look, it's plus 145 just to get 2. So let's put that in there, taking out the 2.5. So if you do all this, it usually will calculate it, but we got like a plus 230, a minus 160. The alt under is the only thing doing anything to it. It's probably going to end up being at least 11, 12 to 1, which could be fun. Let me change around. Let me actually make this under the next lowest thing. Like, let's say that this goes, let's put this at 40.5. Yeah. There we go.
2017. Now we're talking.
Yeah. All right. So now, so this is looking at the math. This is probably going to be like a 17 to 1, 20 to 1. Nice little 4-legger that'll happen.
Let's get it.
DraftKings has DraftKings sponsor of you guys has a really good, has the best number. So I will put this out with the link, but we got Patrick Mahomes 40 rushing yards, an alt under of 40.5. I really love this. Alt under 40.5. Josh Reynolds 40 receiving yards. David Montgomery to have 2 catches is going to be probably about 21. We'll tweet it out and it'll go with this.
Let's get it.
Dude, that's great. All right. So look, Sean, this was great. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, just Google Sports Gambling Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Can't miss us. VSiN Friday nights, 9:00 Pacific, YouTube TV, VSiN.com, and on X at Gambling Podcast. So let's get it. Awesome. Let's have ourselves a Sunday.
Yeah, dude.
All right, great times, Adam.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. And everyone will have some other videos and things this week. Good luck with your bets.